Welcome everyone to Taste Different Gaming Appetizers. Tonight, we got some things to talk about with YouTube, where you're probably watching this from. All right. So let me go ahead and whip out this article so everybody can see what I am seeing. All right, as you can see, we're going to talk about YouTube updating its policy on violent video game clips with rules that seem aimed at the incoming flood of GTA 6 videos. We all know that YouTube's algorithm on who it shows videos to is a little bit wishy-washy. Some stuff they're okay with, and some things they're not. So, most of our videos are marked not safe for children. So even though we're talking about something as mundane as a Switch 2 game, we still mark everything as not safe just so we don't get dinged. Because if you get dinged and you get dinged too many times, you'll basically lose your channel, right? So we play it better safe than sorry, because we do cuss sometimes on this show, sometimes an egregious amount. We do what we do, right? So this article. So YouTube's lengthy policy on violent content is getting a little longer, and Grand Theft Auto videos in particular may trigger enforcement, it says, of a new rule related to depiction of torture and mass violence. In addition to our existing guidelines around graphic gaming content, we will age restrict an additional small subset of video game content featuring realistic human characters that focuses on scenes of torture or scenes of mass violence against non-combatants. GTA 6, there's a whole bunch of stuff on GTA 6. I hate how they throw stuff in the middle of those, but, so really it's just a very small thing. This is all they're talking about. Really small section of the article. Let me stop sharing and we'll kind of run through this real quick just to kind of give you our thoughts on this. I mean, it's not a whole lot to talk about, but it's just something. If you're like us, we spend a lot of time on YouTube. So let's stop sharing that and get this stuff resituated here. So what do I think about this? I don't know. Does it seem like it's aimed at GTA 6? I mean, that's what happens when you make a quadruple A game worth $100, right? You get treated like an adult. We're gonna treat GTA like an adult. They're basically being, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, video game content has an ESRB rating already, but I guess the problem with it right now is I'm not even sure GTA 6 has an ESRB rating. Does it yet? I don't think it does because it's not out yet. But maybe they should filter their content based off of that. And obviously, if you're talking about and showing images from a pre-release trailer of a game that's not actually out yet, then that can be problematic, right? You have to use your own judgment. And I don't know what's their enforcement going to be, It's I don't know, man. There's a whole lot more on other articles about this. But there's some stuff talking about the video game platform will make judgment based on 3 criteria: the duration of the violent scene or scenes, whether or not violence is the focus of the video, and whether or not the character in the game are realistic humans. So that kind of lines it out a little bit better, right? What are the 3 characteristics that we're looking for to say whether we need to age restrict this content? It sounds like YouTube here lately has been doing a lot of like content management by restricting some content, because I think not too long ago they also had they expanded what they considered gambling, right? In video games and things like that. So YouTube expanded its definition of gambling content to include gambling of video game skins and NFTs, which I'm fine with that. The less we can get that type of stuff out in front of people, maybe it'll just die, right? Ultimately, these new rules that we've talked about take effect November 17th. And it says may be applied retroactively, causing existing videos to be age gated or removed. But any such actions will not result in a strike, they say, which is kind of good. So if you've already put out some content for children and it was like, hey, this isn't kosher, we're not going to ding you for it. We're going to age restrict it or remove it completely and then, move it to where it belongs. But we mark all of our content as mature audience just because we're adults and we talk like adults. And sometimes we talk like 5-year-old children that are in a Call of Duty library, a lobby, right? So I have no problem with this. I mean, the more things that they can do to protect, younger kids, because the internet in general has always been an awful place for young people. because you get exposed to stuff that you probably wouldn't be exposed to if you weren't on the internet. I think, when I was younger, we didn't have these massive multiplayer lobbies where you hear some 5-year-old cussing like a sailor and throwing out every racial slur under the sun, and you just wonder where he learned that from. Probably learned it from the internet, and the original person learned it from his parents. Who knows what? But I think gating some of this content for more mature audiences is a good move. Anything we could do to protect the children. YouTube is just trying to CYA, which is fine. That's what they need to do, right? CYA to protect those kids. Shane, what do you think? What do you think about YouTube expanding on their policies for violent video games and gambling? We can throw that one in and basically saying loot boxes considered gambling to them.
Implementation is the biggest part of that, because not everything that's trying to do good comes out good. So it's truly going to be the implementation. They can use all the words they want, but how they throw those balls and strikes are going to be the biggest thing. So, but I'm all for keeping children safe. I'm all for certain material not being shown to certain age groups. My children, they were raised to understand the difference between that's TV, that's real life. But I'm still a hands-on parent. But, my kids are, 14 and up now. I've got one in the 20s. Yes, I am that old. I don't look it, but I am that old. That always falls on the parent. So, those parents that, I didn't know Billy was looking at breastises on the computer device there. That's your fault, idiot. Don't blame Billy. Don't blame the black and orange channel. That was you. You gave your kid free reign to search whatever he wants and without any kind of, parental guidance in any way. That's always going to fall on the parent. Now, granted, there should be devices in place to protect kids if you run a site like YouTube or even the adult sites. There should be devices in place to try your best to make sure that children don't see things they really shouldn't be watching or listening to. So that's all going to fall down to implementation. I'm okay with YouTube doing it. And I do like what, going back and pulling things. That's perfectly fine as long as it doesn't cause a ding, for you now, because as we get older, we learn. As we grow, we learn. You can say something that I'm an offensive person. I say what's on my mind, and I love race jokes. I love sexist jokes. I have a horrible sense of humor, but that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That just means I like stupid, funny shit. Fuck off, Pat. but no, it all falls down to that implementation, and some people are going to be offended no matter what they see. There's people out there that still, God, I don't want to mention the senator's name because I can't remember it, but kind of wish I could. He was bitching like a little schoolgirl who, caught Billy looking up a skirt because of an episode of Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, where Goku's, I don't think you can call it a wang, the way it was drawn, was briefly shown when he was kicking Bulma in the, her hot pocket, he was, oh my God, that's pornography. Dude, if you think that's pornography, I'm pretty sure your priest has done worse to you. So you need to shut the fuck up. So that is all up to a parent to decide what's right for their kid. But companies like YouTube and all that, they still have to put measures in place to help prevent certain things, because a 12-year-old should not see sex. They shouldn't. They just shouldn't. A 12-year-old should not see a real decapitation. And I know that's broad, but there's just certain things that y'all should not see. My kids grew up watching anime. monitored for the most part, but I never had a problem with violence in TV, anime, cartoons, because my kids know the difference between reality and, you know, entertainment. They were raised that way. They were taught to know the difference. Now, I never set my kid in front of the TV and go, learn life like some people. So, you know, that's just the parent I am. So
Flipper taught them everything they need to know about life.
Exactly. I still can't get my son to stop going, but he does that in his room for some reason when the door's closed. It's weird. But I digest. I'm okay with YouTube doing it. I'm okay with what was being described, but it is all about implementation. So how they truly handle it. I mean, if some of the things I've said in this video alone, somebody might be like, "Oh my God, I'm so offended. You know, you made a priest joke. You made a, anime joke. Somebody's butt's going to get hurt. That's just life. They can suck it up and suck my butthole too." So, Nick, what do you think, bud? I mean, I know you're, out of all of us, you're like the cleanest person, never done wrong, never seen that black and orange channel, never watched a hentai, never used his left hand. What do you think?
Doesn't watch anime.
Oh, no.
I just watch Herbie the Love Bug.
R.I.P. Herbie.
Transmission went out. It's whatever. I mean, YouTube, Google will do what they need to do, but it's understandable. I guess they're thinking that GTA 6, I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of footage or content for that game, but I don't know why that game in particular. I'm assuming because it is more of a violent game, and they're expecting the graphics and character models to be more realistic than other games. I mean, because I think about like Resident Evil, 2 remake, that's very human, like the zombies and stuff, and there's a lot of blood and gore and things of that nature. So, I mean, a lot of that content is already out there. So, I mean, it would be good YouTube does have the kids YouTube. So if you really want, you can restrict them to that. But I think age gating is good. It just depends on, kind of like what Shane said, implementation of how they utilize that, and how they utilize age gating. I don't like what a lot of these companies are doing nowadays, where you have to send in your government issued ID. We talked about that before with I can't remember who it was, but they got
Discord.
Discord. They got hacked and all that stuff got taken from them. And I don't like that part, right? I don't want to have to send in, I'm not going to send in my government issued ID to a picture of it to whoever, so they can verify that I'm old enough to look at whatever. I understand, the internet is it can be a cool place and it can be a scary place, right? And especially for young kids as well as old kids, right? I mean, Shane said 12-year-olds shouldn't see decapitations. Well, at 40 years old, I still don't want to see a real life decapitation. So that's something I think I want to avoid watching. So, there's even certain things as you get older that you don't want to see either. So, it does come down to a few things, right? It does come down to parenting, making sure that, you lie, or make sure you're monitoring and utilizing the parental controls, various things like that. And I think age gating is too good as well. I mean, of course, it should come down to like maybe, it restricts the content based on, which I assume it probably does, based on whenever you create an account. You had to put in the birth date, right? You could fake that, yes, but you had to put in a birthday, and then that restricts the account. So if, as a parent, if you make an account for your child, then you can put in their date, and then it will only restrict things. I mean, maybe YouTube, instead of just having a is this for kids or not? Maybe they should have like more of a rating system, like the ESRB or like the movie rating system. You know, is this M for mature, or is this R rated, or is this PG-13, or whatever the case may be?
Who assigns that label?
That's the thing. I don't know. That's the only part.
It'd be on the honor system, right? And then you would have, because I mean,
Yeah.
in the MPAA, somebody reviews the movie or whatever, and they watch it and say, okay, this gets this rating. I mean, but ESRB is kind of a self-regulated system where they say, hey, if you have this, and that. I mean, if YouTube wanted to use something like that, they would just have to lay out an explicit graph or chart that says you can use this rating, PG. You can use G for this content, and you're not allowed to have any of this. If you have one of these, you go PG-13. If you do this, you go, what is it, mature, then rated R, and then that's about as high as YouTube will go. But yeah, somebody would have to self-regulate, and then if you get caught outside of your rating, you would get a ding or a strike against your account, right?
Right. But they could do something like that. They could implement something like that potentially to regulate. I mean, they
already do, right? I mean, technically, you just say, "Is your video made for kids?" Yes
but it's just a tag, right? A yes or no tag. So,
but here's my worry though. They're going to try that implementation with AI. And that AI, because I mean, AI will take our video, for instance, and give us options of titles.
I was going to say, we saw nudity and it was like somebody's elbow.
Yeah. I was going to say that was the whole thing with the whole scrambled chain. We're like, was that a boob or an elbow?
Exactly. You know what? It doesn't matter to me.
Is he delivering pizzas or sausage?
She'll never get the poison out that way.
Damn, snake bite.
There's a snake in my... But no, you're
a snake in his trousers.
That's a good way. Oh my God! I hope they don't try to flag that. But I agree with you, Nick. That's probably a good way to do it. But who makes the decision? Is it going to be? I mean,
I think
system
Pat said self-regulated.
But here's the problem: people are stupid. People will.
And kind of like what Pat said, they would have to be very clear and strict guidelines as to what it is that signifies that, right? I mean, Google would have to do a lot of work to make sure that they don't have any pitfalls or holes in their guidelines or anything like that. So.
And it should be, if society wasn't so messed up, it should be fairly clean. Is this channel, is this video available for children? Is this the video that children should watch? No, hell no. So that there should basically say, if you're under 16, 17, whatever, the average adult age is, considered, anything under that age, no, our videos shouldn't be, our videos should not be reachable for them. But I also, I think that should be basically the divider. I mean, I don't think, between 18 and 24, you can only hear the word shit 5 times. The way they're going to break these down, like Pat, you were describing, if you use this many F-bombs, you get a, PG-13 rating or R rating. If I see an elbow that kind of look like, Aunt Meg,
I mean, technically you only need 3 or 4 ratings, right? You need a G, and then a rating for anybody over the age of 13, and then a rating for anybody over the age of 17. That's really all you need. Is this made for young kids, teenagers, or adults?
Yeah.
And if you want to be able to show video to teens, you have to have this kind of content. It can't have any of this verbiage or words in it. And if you have, basically you just start at the top and you say, does my video have any of these words in it? Then it's already rated mature. You don't even need to look at the other two. You just don't start at the bottom. You start at the top and say, okay, to be in the mature category, I need to have these things. Do I have any of them? No. Cool. To be in the PG-13 or teen category, you can have these, but in this quantity. Do I meet that? I have none of those. Okay. Then now you can go down to the made for kids, but that would be self-regulated, but then yes, it would be it had to be harsh punishment. I think their normal strike system would help them, right? We're going to move your video to the proper category, maybe demonetize it, whatever they have to do. and then, then they rate it properly and you get a strike, and there's normal strike system. You get so many strikes for the next number of months, you're out, your channel's dead type things. But I don't know if they'll go that far. I mean, they already have that. Is this mature or is it made for kids essentially? And we treat everything that we put out as mature.
Yeah. Now, Nick, you have the youngest one in the group. Do you monitor, or do you have like the adult locks? I mean, that kind of stuff really wasn't. I'm not tech savvy, so that could have been around when my kids were younger. But I just paid attention. I listened to what they were listening to. I do have the adult
or the locks and stuff like on there, and then primarily she can only use like the YouTube for Kids one because that has all the supposed to anyway have all the PG content on there,
except for Roblox. That's all messed up.
Well, that's not on YouTube, but I mean the videos are, but not the game. But yeah, I mean, and even adult YouTube does have, you can turn on like restricted mode to take, which it's, iffy 50-50 on whether or not it takes a video out that should be restricted or not. I don't know how restricted mode determines.
YouTube doesn't allow nudity, right?
No.
Damn close, so.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
some videos.
You can't show actual parts. You can't show genitals. You can't show that. You can't show any simulated sex. You can't talk about essay and things like that. You get in trouble for.
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of videos, they won't say what the essay stands for. They just say
they won't say the other pieces of that. They make up new terminology, and they don't say they say pew pews instead of like this and that because they're catering to the younger channels and they don't want to get demonetized and things like that.
Yeah. And I noticed that, and that's perfectly fine, I guess, but I don't know. I think people monitoring people is scary. I think AI monitoring them, people is scary.
So there's no pleasing Shane is what I'm getting.
There's nothing that's the only thing that'll please me is to know that a parent is
monitoring your own children,
trying to do the right thing by, making sure that, my kids know my kids have me as a father. So, there's some issues, but, they like to torment me with things like we were driving somewhere when we were going to Gulf Shores. One of them goes, "So, Dad, what's a Cleveland steamer?" So this is the older one, one of the older ones, and they do those things.
That is your youngest one. You're saying older one.
That was the middle one.
Oh, that was the middle one. Oh, okay, yeah. I would have figured that would have come from your younger.
No, the younger, he's just as messed up, but he lets the older ones start the shit, and then he likes to throw in his jabs. This is the one. That's the one who, when I told him about the cancer, he goes, I said, "Do you have any questions?" And he goes, "Yeah. When do I start shaving my balls?" That's it's like way to take that conversation to a new low. Yeah, but that's the way I've raised my kids. I'm the parent. I'm the monitor. I'm the guide. So most of their issues are going to be on me. Most of the things that they're allowed to know, allowed to hear, to a certain point, of course, are on me. School. Yeah. What they hear from a friend, what they hear from their phones and shit, you can only monitor so much for so long. But if you hopefully teach them properly to begin with, you shouldn't have too many issues. So,
all right. Well, you've heard it here, Nick. You got anything you want to lay out on this one? About YouTube, no. And do you agree?
You want to drop any F-bombs just to make sure we don't hit that young audience?
No, I mark every video that we do as mature.
I make sure I do it too. So it's not like Nick is double checking to make sure that we put it as mature.
And I'm immature, so I even it out.
Yeah. So, I think all good things from YouTube. I especially like the gambling where they're saying that loot boxes is gambling. So they're going to put that in a gambling thing. I'm fine with that. I wish it would go away completely, but I'm okay with it.
For sure. I agree
So-
with that one.
Let us know what you think down in the comments, and you reach the end of this video. If you're not subscribed yet, why not? Help us out. Help us be the filthy, mature gamers that we are and keep talking smack like we do every day. And hit that follow button. Make sure that hit that notification button so that you know when we put new videos out. We put new videos out every week, and we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.